Hey guys, happy Monday. I am in the kitchen about to cook one of the most easiest slash quickest, most tasteful veggies you can cook, and that is squash. So I'm gonna saute some squash for you guys so you can see how it's done. A lot of people say they don't like squash for many reasons. They say it's too mushy. They don't like the texture. It's not flavorful, but if it's cooked properly, it's the bomb, y'all. So check me out. Let's get it. So first we're going to, you see I already have my squash cut up with some onions. And I didn't, only use about 4 squash. So probably half of a large onion is what I have in here. So now I'm going to go ahead and season my squash while it's in the bowl. So we're going to start off with some garlic powder. And that's the other thing. Don't overdo it with the seasoning, y'all. You want to taste the veggie that you have. And sometimes people do too much by over seasoning. So we're not going to do that. We have some salt. That was garlic powder if I didn't say so. We have some salt. And that's about 2 teaspoons of salt. I like to add some red pepper flakes. About a teaspoon or half. And just a pinch of sugar. I don't like sweet veggies, but this sugar just brings out the flavor of the squash. So about half a teaspoon. Alrighty, that's all it is for the seasoning. Now we're gonna get in here and mix this seasoning in the squash really well with the onions. And all you're doing is distributing the seasoning. All right, let me wash these hands. All right, so now we're going to saute some bacon, y'all. Yep, I said some bacon, y'all. We're gonna get the bacon frying. And because I used about 4 squash, I used about 3 strips of bacon. We're gonna get that fried up, browned up, and we're gonna go from there. So we have a heat on high or medium high to get that bacon going. Should have put the squash in a bowl. Got water dripping everywhere. That's all right. That's what we do. So the bacon is frying. Now, so squash can be cooked many ways. There's squash casserole, but what I'm gonna do is just saute it. And I love squash casserole. I remember mommy making squash casserole growing up. And she would add an egg to it and seasoning, onion, bell peppers. And mommy was one of those that believed in seasoning. Now, the food was good. But sometimes, rest in peace, mommy, it was too much. Especially as a child growing up, I was like, "Ew, what's all of that?" But now that I'm older and I'm a cook, I understand her seasoning, but still with some things, it just don't take as much because you do want to taste the vegetable that you're preparing or the meat or the dish, whatever it is. Sometimes it can be over seasoned. So this bacon alone, you know, if you cook with bacon with anything, it's going to be fire. So the bacon adds a lot of the seasoning. So yeah, we're going to let this bacon fry and get brown, which won't take long. And sometimes I don't let it get all the way brown because I want to add my onions, some people may remove the bacon is what I'm trying to say. But I'm going to leave mine in here because I want the flavor of the bacon to be incorporated with the squash. So now I'm going to add some green onion to that. And yes, the green onion came from where? My garden. Add a little bit more. Get that sauteed in there. I love onion. I love the smell of onion and bacon together. So if I was to say, that was probably about 3 tablespoons of green onion. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon and a half of, butter. So let's let that get melted along with the bacon and the onion. Can y'all see that? I don't think you can. Hold on. Oh, please. Let me adjust my camera so y'all can see. Y'all, I'm still trying to figure this thing out. But here we go. That's better. Uh-oh. Oh, please. There we go. So right now we have onion, bacon, and butter. So now let's add this seasoned squash to the skillet. Squash and onions. Now, did I harvest this much squash at one time? No. So, when you go out to your garden, you're not going to always have enough for a meal. So what I do is when I see veggies ready, I go ahead and pick them. And with this squash, I pick them, I slice them, and I froze them. So when I have enough, I'll come back and pull those from the freezer and add to what I've harvested for the day. And that gives you a complete dish. So we're going to let that saute for a minute. And it smells amazing in here, y'all. And yes, my skillet is on a medium high. And so earlier today, and with squash you don't need to add much liquid because remember squash has a lot of water in it. And then because of the frozen squash that I added here, it had even a little more water. So you don't want to add much liquid to this because we don't want it what? Mushy. Keep sauteing. And you'll do this for about 10 minutes or so. If you're a cook, you can use your better judgment. But if you're not, keep doing it till you get it right. That's what I say. Cooking is a learning experience. You have basic recipes, but as you do it more, you'll figure out what works best for you. Yeah, so that's sauteing. And earlier today, I cooked some greens. I sauteed some greens, some collards and kale. And my broth came from the juice of some smoked turkey necks. So guess what? Typically, you know, after this liquid drains out of this squash, I would add a little chicken broth. But today, nope. I'm adding the leftover broth from the greens and the smoked turkey necks I did today. Because I didn't use it all for my greens, and I'm not going to throw it away. So yeah, it's going to be added to this squash. Let me turn that fire back up a little bit. I had turned it down, but I don't want it to cook forever. So I'm going to turn that fire back up. So I hope you guys will try squash this way, and maybe you'll like it. For those who say, you know, they never really like squash, But it's all about the seasoning, how it's prepared with anything. So don't knock it till you try it. Is what I always say. Oops, laying down. Ah, you're going right back in. Ain't got time to be wasting no groceries. Now, if it would have hit the floor, I would have trashed it, but it's right here on my stove. And my stove is clean. So we good. Okay, so now most of this liquid is absorbed in the squash. So what I'm gonna do now is add a little bit of that broth from the smoked turkey necks that I was talking about. And it's not much in here, but what's in here we're gonna use. And there she goes. We're gonna let this keep on cooking. And as we're cooking the squash and it's getting tender, we can kind of, start breaking it down. And what I mean by breaking it down is just take your utensil and kind of break it down. It's not as tender as it needs to be yet, so. And you can eat squash raw. So that's why I say you cook it to your consistency. I like mine somewhat tender, but again, not mushy. And then you have to take into consideration that you're not going to eat all of this at one setting. So don't overcook it, because when you reheat it, that's going to cook it some more. And all I'm doing is continually moving it around. Trying to get the perfect consistency for me. That bacon and that onion. Woo-wee. It's gonna be good, y'all. And you can cook extra bacon so that when you're done, you can top it with the bacon. I have seen recipes where people add cheese on top after it's done. But like I said, I want the flavor of the squash. So I'm not going to overdo it with all of the other added ingredients. But you fix it to your liking for you and whoever else is consuming it. We almost there, y'all. It don't take long, especially when you have the temp high, well, medium high to high. Now what I'm going to do now is taste my broth, because again, your flavor comes from your broth. You can tell how something tastes by how the broth tastes. And see if I need to add anything else to my squash. So let's taste and see. And it is good. I'm going to add a little black pepper. And maybe just another pinch of salt. And another pinch of garlic powder. We don't need no more pepper flakes. And she got a little kick. But you can never have too much garlic, in my opinion. Okay, guys, I think it's almost to the consistency that I want, just because, again, when I reheat it, it's going to cook some more. So you don't want to overcook it. Now, for those of you who might want it a little more tender, what you can do is just put a lid on it and let it simmer for about 10 to 15 more minutes. And that will give you a softer consistency for your squash. Uh-oh. Another man down, but we ain't going in there because it's close to the fire. I don't know if y'all can see that, but let me bring you closer. Look at that, y'all. Don't it look good? Let me turn the camera around. You can see it better. Look at that. That is sauteed squash. Now I'm going to let her cook for about another 5 minutes or so. But actually, it's at the consistency that I want. That's why I say it's a quick dish, a quick side. And from this point, you can do what you want. You can add cheese, you can add more bacon, whatever you like. But what I'm going to do is turn the fire down, and I'm going to top it with some of those green onions that I had left, just for the appearance. And of course, it's going to add a little bit more flavor. But that's my sauteed squash. I hope you guys try it. I hope you like it. Leave in the comments if you do, and tell me what you would have done different, what you might have added to it. But for me in my house, this is what we like. Until the next time, Cheryl T from Seeds Say So. Ciao.